Most people don't notice the moment their life starts to crack. It doesn't happen with shouting or broken glass. It happens quietly when no one is looking. Ethan Miller's life looked fine from the outside. He woke up early, went to a steady job, came home to a clean house and a warm dinner. His wife, Lauren, smiled easily in front of others. Her family was rich, respected, the kind of people who filled long tables and spoke with calm confidence. Ethan sat with them every weekend. He nodded. He listened. He said thank you. Lauren often answered questions for him. What he thought, what he planned. Her parents seemed to expect it. Her father shook Ethan's hand like he was visiting, not living there. Her mother asked about his work, his salary, his future, each question neat and sharp. Ethan felt them land, one by one. He told himself this was normal. Peace mattered more than pride. Being quiet was easier than pushing back. Late at night, when the house was dark, Ethan stood alone in the kitchen. The floor was cold. The fridge hummed softly. Everything around him was paid for, chosen, approved by someone else. That was when he understood something he had avoided for a long time. He lived there, but the house was never really his. The meeting lasted less than 10 minutes. Ethan sat across from his manager, hands folded, listening to words that felt rehearsed. Budget cuts, restructuring, nothing personal, no apology. When it ended, someone handed him a cardboard box. His name was already written on it. He walked out without looking back. At home, Lauren hugged him and said the right things. "We'll be fine," she said. Her voice was soft, careful. For a moment, he believed her. That night, she called her parents. She spoke quietly, but not quietly enough. After that, things changed. The mail started to pile up on the table. Lauren opened every bill, marking numbers with a pen. She asked questions she never asked before. How long will this last? What are you applying for? Why does this cost so much? Her sighs came faster now. She reminded him, often, who paid for what? The house, the car, the trips. She said it like facts, not insults, but they landed heavy. Ethan searched for work all day and came home tired, already behind. One evening, he stopped outside the bedroom door. Lauren was on the phone. Her voice was sharp. "He needs to fix this," she said. "I can't carry him." Ethan stood still, holding his breath, feeling something drop inside him. The house grew quiet in a way Ethan had never known. Not peaceful quiet, but empty. Words became short and careful. At dinner, forks scraped plates, and nothing else filled the space. Lauren checked her phone more than his face. She stayed out late and came home smelling of perfume, dressed sharpened before, like she was going somewhere important without him. Her family stopped calling. Invitations faded away. When Ethan did show up, he felt like furniture. People talked around him, not to him. Lauren corrected his stories in front of others, cut him off with a smile. Her father joked about Ethan's break from work, and Lauren laughed like it was harmless. Every morning, Ethan sent out applications. Every afternoon, replies came back cold and short. "Thank you for your interest. We've moved forward." He kept them to himself. Lauren never asked how it went. She never asked at all. At night, they shared the same bed but faced different walls. Their talks ended before they began. She spoke to him the way people speak to strangers, polite and distant. One evening, Ethan said her name while she was talking. She answered without turning her head, eyes fixed ahead. That was when he understood. Lauren no longer looked at him when she spoke. Ethan came home earlier than usual that night. The house was dark and quiet, like it was holding its breath. Lauren wasn't there. His shoes sounded loud on the floor as he walked in. On the table, her laptop was open. The screen glowed in the dark. He wasn't looking for anything. He didn't touch the keyboard. Then a message appeared at the top of the screen. A name he didn't know. A short line. Familiar words. Ethan sat down slowly. He read without moving. The messages were clear. Careful plans. Private jokes. Talk about weekends away. The man had money. Power. He was someone her family already trusted. Someone they approved of. Ethan kept reading. He learned things without meaning to. About lawyers. About timing. About accounts being moved and names being changed. About how easy it would be if Ethan just signed and left, about how little she expected him to fight. There was no anger in him, no shouting, just a quiet weight pressing down. The house felt smaller with every line he read. When the screen finally went dark, Ethan closed the laptop gently. He stood up, reached for the light, and turned it off. The room disappeared into silence. The divorce moved faster than Ethan expected. Meetings were short. Papers were thick. Lauren's family lawyer spoke in calm voices and clean words. Ethan nodded and signed where they pointed. He didn't understand most of it, only that it was already decided. People he once called friends grew distant. Messages went unanswered. Plans were canceled without reason. Invitations stopped arriving. When he ran into someone by chance, they smiled politely and left quickly, like they were late for something else. One afternoon, a heavy envelope waited in his mailbox. It felt stiff in his hands. Inside was a wedding invitation. Thick paper, clean edges, gold letters. Lauren's name was printed clearly, but her last name was different now. Beside, it was the name of the man from the messages. There was no note inside, no explanation, no apology, just a date, a place, and careful details about dress code and parking. Ethan sat at the table and stared at the card. The room was quiet. The walls looked bare, like they were already moving on without him. He thought about how easily his place had been filled. After a long moment, he turned the invitation over and placed it face down on the empty table. He left it there, untouched. Ethan's apartment was small, smaller than he remembered wanting. One room, thin walls. He could hear the neighbors moving, the city breathing outside, every car passing like a drum. There were no photos on the walls. No visitors came. No one asked how he was. No one needed him. Meals were simple. Bread, cheap pasta, sometimes a can of soup. He ate slowly, listening to hum of the fridge, the distant wail of sirens. The mattress on the floor held him at night, a thin comfort, and the nights felt longer than ever. He thought about Laura more than he wanted. Conversations they had replayed in his mind, over and over, each word twisting slightly, each laugh and correction echoing. He asked himself questions he couldn't answer. Was she right? Was he failing? Could he have done anything differently? There was no plan, no spark, no idea what came next. Just surviving, putting one day quietly after another. The first light of morning crept through the blinds. Ethan sat on the edge of the mattress, still wearing yesterday's clothes. The city noise rose around him. He did not move. He just sat and waited. Ethan started spending his nights differently. The apartment was quiet, dark, and empty, and he liked it that way. He took out an old skill he had once abandoned, something technical he had once loved but had let go. It wasn't about showing anyone. It wasn't about revenge or proving himself. It was just something to fill the long hours, to keep his mind moving. He studied old manuals and online guides, tried things he had forgotten, and made mistakes. Lots of them. Screens flashed errors. Circuits failed. Programs didn't run. Sometimes he felt frustrated, sometimes tired, but he kept going. The work consumed him enough to make the world outside fade, and that was enough. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. He didn't tell anyone. No one asked. No one noticed. Friends stopped calling. Lauren didn't care. He didn't look for praise or recognition. Finally, one night, after hours of tinkering and correcting, Ethan finished something small but complete. The screen glowed in the dark room. Everything worked as it should. He stared at it quietly. No smile, no triumph, just the simple satisfaction of having made something real. For the first time in a long while, he felt a quiet weight of ownership that belonged only to him. Ethan never expected anyone to notice. He worked quietly in the dark, unnoticed and unneeded. But one evening, a man walked into the small workspace where Ethan had been testing his latest project. The man watched, asked questions, and didn't praise. He didn't flatter or promise anything. He just saw what Ethan had made and understood it. He offered no excitement, only a test. Small challenges at first. Quiet pushes. Nothing easy. Nothing guaranteed. Ethan didn't feel thrilled or lucky. He only felt focus. Each task mattered. Each problem had to be solved. The work was exacting, slow, sometimes frustrating, but he kept at it step by step. Weeks passed. Progress came quietly. Opportunities followed. Money came steadily, not in sudden bursts, but in solid, dependable ways. Respect arrived in small acknowledgments, nods, and cautious trust. Ethan didn't call his old friends. He didn't boast. He didn't speak to Lauren. No one from his past knew anything about the slow change. One evening, after a small success, he bought a suit. Simple, dark, clean lines. He left the store without a glance in the mirror. The suit wasn't about showing anyone. It was about moving forward quietly, without looking back. The invitation came quietly, like a shadow from the past. Same venue, same crowd, same people who had once ignored him or whispered behind his back. Ethan looked at it for a long moment, then folded it carefully and set it aside. He didn't hurry. He didn't rush. When he arrived, it was late. The room was full of light music and polite conversations. But everything slowed the moment he stepped in. He moved calmly, silently, as if the noise didn't exist. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. Glasses paused midair. Lauren saw him first. Her smile froze halfway, the warmth gone. Her new husband noticed a shift, a quiet tension settling over him like a shadow he couldn't name. Ethan said nothing. No apology. No explanation. No glance backward. People approached him instead. Small nods. Quiet acknowledgement. Eyes measured him now. Respect had replaced dismissal. Conversations came with caution. Careful steps around a man who had been invisible for so long. Ethan stood near the edge of the room. The music played, glasses clinked, but he remained still. Lauren realized, finally, that she had misjudged everything. He was here, unchanged, silent, and no longer the man she thought she knew. Ethan didn't wait for the speeches or the music to end. He didn't linger for congratulations or questions. Without a word, he turned and walked toward the door. The crowd noticed, of course. Whispers ran quietly through the room, but he ignored them. Lauren stood frozen near the center. Her eyes followed him, wide and unsettled. For a moment, she thought he might stop, might say something. But he didn't. Every step he took was calm, deliberate, like nothing outside mattered. The man she had married, the life she had chosen. None of it reached him anymore. No one called his name. No one tried to stop him. Respect, caution, and curiosity followed silently in his wake. But Ethan felt none of it. The doors closed behind him with a soft click. Outside, the night waited. Cool air brushed his face. The street stretched wide and empty. Lights glinted on the pavement. But he did not look. He did not slow. Lauren stayed inside, realization heavy on her shoulders. She had misjudged him completely. Ethan walked on, silent, untouched, and free. The night swallowed him, and the absence said more than words ever could.